Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hall Family Wines Happy Hour. My name is Catherine Wald Hall, and I am joined by the president of Hall Family Wines, Mike Reynolds. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Kathy. How are you tonight?
I'm great. We have a totally awesome show for you all today. I'm just so glad that you joined. We've got Rick Negron, who was the King George III for Hamilton. He performed that in San Francisco. He performed it in Puerto Rico at the really important fundraiser that was down there. And he's just so talented and so much fun. And we are really, really excited that he's going to be here to join us. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and Mike is especially excited because Mike, as I'm sure he will tell you all, is a really knows a lot, has enjoyed musicals a lot over the years. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. My mother loved the musicals and took us to a community theater, and I grew up with musicals as the soundtrack of my life as a youth.
Pretty great. We are going to be having some great wine as well with Rick when he comes on. And I'm thinking maybe, Mike, you might just tell folks what we're going to have.
Yep, so we have two wines today. Both are from our mountain vineyards. Those of you who are familiar with our wines know that we specialize in making small batches of wine from some of the most interesting places in Napa Valley to grow grapes. And two of the wines we're having today are the Diamond Mountain District Cabernet Sauvignon and the Howell Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon, both from 2017. So we're super excited to share them this evening.
And actually, I think the Howell Mountain right now is only available to our wine club members. So those of you who are not yet wine club members, we hope we can entice you over the course of the next half hour to join us. We have a lot of fun in our winery, and we're about to have a lot more fun. I think we should now before we bring on our first guest, Mike, will you talk a bit about the tasting rooms that we have?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a number of tasting rooms in Napa and Sonoma County, and despite what you've read on the news, we've actually been open for some time. Of course, social distancing is incorporated. We want to keep everybody safe, both our visitors and employees, and we pay very close attention to those rules and regulations. One of those rules that is important to know is that you need to make a reservation ahead of time. So if you are interested in coming, visit us on the website or give us a call ahead of time. And then, of course, if you're ever interested in getting some wine, you can visit us at our website, www.hallwines.com or waltwines.com or bacawines.com.
And we hope you all do.
Yeah, we hope to see you soon.
Yeah. So let's bring on our first guest, Rick Negron. You all know him from Hamilton, and there he is. Yay!
Hello, everybody.
So great to have you on, Rick.
Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of Hall Wines, and over our one-year run in San Francisco, we had many members of the Hall family come down to visit us, and of course, we were invited to come up and visit Hall Wines, and had a wonderful time up at the winery.
Yeah, I actually heard a little bit about that. And so, Mike, I'm just sort of thinking, when you think of Hamilton, is there any sort of line that sort of comes to your mind? I don't know to do this.
First and foremost, I can't sing, but I have the disclaimer, which is, But yes, of course. I mean, when you're thinking about Hamilton, you say, the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. And then, of course, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, which you would do 1,000 times better than me, Rick. So.
Well, I think I did it over 1,000 times.
I promise you, that doesn't stop Mike from doing it. He loves this piece. And so I'm really glad you had your moment to share that, Mike.
Yes, I'll live it down in infamy forever. So,
okay, before we get too much further, Rick, I want you to have some wine. And let's see, I am going to, let me see, I'm going to have to pass this. Actually, I'm going to have to pass this through you, Mike. So are you ready?
Joe,
Okay,
correct.
here you go. Here you go. And okay,
I got some wine.
you know what? We've got a second wine. By the time we get to the second wine, we are going to be really good at it.
And
So
this is the Diamond Mountain.
it is the Diamond Mountain. You got
Very
it.
exciting.
It's the right one. So cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I love this wine. So,
Oh.
tell us, isn't that great?
Oh, that's delicious.
So we're going to talk about that, or Mike's going to talk about that. First of all, in a little more detail, in some detail, in a little bit. But first of all, so what are you doing? I think I want to know. I'm sure all our viewers want to know. I mean, the production is closed in San Francisco.
Luckily, I'm one of the few actors in the show that I live in California, so I have this beautiful hill house in the Glendale, Pasadena region of LA, and my wife is an interior designer, so I have this beautiful kitchen that she designed behind me to come home to. I would fly down almost every weekend while I was in San Francisco doing Hamilton. And since the pandemic, I wanted to come home, and boy, I got my wish. I've been stuck home, but there could be worse things. I was gainfully employed, which was great for an actor to have that, to be gainfully employed as long as I was prior to the pandemic. So, the financial hardship isn't as terrible for those of us who had employment before. We won't be going back to work for a while. The producers of Hamilton have made it very clear that they will not put any of us in any kind of jeopardy. And so we might not be open again until there's a vaccine. So depending on what the CDC says, they're saying spring or summer of next year. We're hoping that can be sooner. But once that happens, once there's a vaccine and we can congregate in large numbers again, then know that Hamilton will be back. We'll be back. You, and you'll be back as well to the theater. Yeah. And my tour of Hamilton is going to stay on the West Coast. We were in San Francisco, and then we had some other cities that we were going to go to, and some of those cities have had to cancel and rebook. But I'm sure that we will be either in Vegas or we had some shows in Arizona and in Utah, and possibly back in San Francisco or back in California somewhere. So there's a few of us that are California kids that are sticking around for when it comes back. In the meantime, we're staying busy. I'm doing Zoom little mini concerts with my Hamilton friends. I did a podcast of a new musical where we recorded everything on Zoom. Zoom seems to be the way to get people together, and we're finding a way to get together, and we're finding a way to make art, and that's the important thing.
I think you brought some photos to share with us.
I have many photos, but we have a few to share with the crowd. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. So let's start with my friend Lin-Manuel Miranda, who in this photo, this is the closing night of our run in Puerto Rico. And Lynn and I go back to 2005 when a mutual friend of ours got in touch with me and said, hey, this kid from Wesleyan University is writing this musical, and he's doing a workshop at the O'Neill Center in New London, Connecticut. And he's got the backing of the producers of Rent and Avenue Q. So he's kind of special. And I want you to listen to his music and see if you're willing to do this workshop. This is back in 2005, and it was the workshop of In the Heights. I got to meet Lynn and the rest of the creative team that went on to create Hamilton. Way back then, we became friends, and he's been very loyal. I got to do In the Heights on Broadway with him for 2 years. And then while we were doing In the Heights, he went off on vacation and read a book called Hamilton and decided to write a musical. We thought he was crazy, and guess who's crazy now? And then, of course, once Hamilton became a big hit, I got in touch and said, I would love to get involved in some way. And he had the brilliant idea of bringing Hamilton to Puerto Rico to raise money for the arts in Puerto Rico. This is a good year and a half after the hurricanes. And it was a big thing to put all the sets and costumes on ships to Puerto Rico, and it was a big deal. And they raised over $50 million for the arts in Puerto Rico with Hamilton there. And I was so lucky to go back to Puerto Rico, my hometown, with Lin-Manuel Miranda, with Hamilton, 4 blocks away from the theater that we opened at. I was born. I was raised 7 blocks away from the theater. So it was incredible to be home with that show in that part. King George. And maybe we can, there we go. So I get the role of King George, and to find out that we're opening in Puerto Rico, I was just flabbergasted. We rehearsed in New York, and then we went through this process of being fitted for costumes. And I have 2 costumes in the show. I have my king costume, and then at the end of the show, I'm in a plebeian costume. And the previous photo was me getting fitted for my costume, which is made completely out of silk. And it is fake fur on the cape. The cape, everybody says, is the cape heavy? Luckily, my costume itself is not hot because it's silk. But once you put that heavy cape on, yeah, it gets a little warm. It's a little bit heavy. The crown weighs about 4 pounds, 3 to 4 pounds. And there is an actual microphone inside the crown that then sits right in front of the crown. And so that way they can really control the sound that I create. I have a backup mic under my wig in case the crown mic decides to go south. But that's a still from the Puerto Rico run. And then we move on to a great photograph of me and the actual painting of King George III. And you can see that Paul Tazwa, our costume designer, who won a Tony Award, went all the way with incredible detail. I mean, even the gold brocade, was custom made for my costume, and really, there's the inspiration of King George III on the right. Boy, I have so much fun doing that role. And there's my
look at that
wig.
handsome guy.
There's that guy giving you a little bit of a smirk. That's in my dressing room, and that's the wig, which is made out of horsehair, yak hair, and human hair. And the reason for the yak hair is that the white human hair cannot be controlled, as we all know, those of us who are starting to get a little silver. So in order to be able to control the curls, they had to use horse and yak hair. And there's that wig. I'm probably the only man in Hamilton. Well, there's a few gentlemen who wear a wig when they're one character and then use their own hair for another character, like Lafayette Jefferson and Mulligan Madison. And I think is that our last photo? I think that might be it. Oh no! And this is my visits to Hall Wine. The one on the left is my first time when I went and had a wonderful tasting opportunity there. And I think I met Mike back then, and I saw the giant chess set, and I said, well, the king has to be with the king. So we had the king and the king there.
Yeah.
And on the right side is my friend Isaiah Johnson, who played George Washington in our company. And he was the one that introduced me to everyone at Hall Wines. And we were all invited to lunch at the winery, and we had a wonderful time in the tasting room. That photo is from the tasting room. And I think from the look on our faces, we've had a couple of glasses at that point. But we were having a wonderful time. And I have a great story to tell. I actually lost the key fob to my car. I lost somewhere in the winery, and I spent a good hour trying to find it, and I never did find it. And Mike, I'm going to let you take over this story because
so poor Rick was his car was here, and he didn't know how to get it back to San Francisco. And so we said we'd keep looking, and a day or two later, someone found it, and Rick was getting ready to get organized to take a Uber up here to pick up the car. And my family and I were going to the show, 5 days later. And so instead of Rick coming up to get his car from wine country, we took 2 cars down to see the show and traded the keys, and it worked out great. So,
and they saw, the whole family saw the matinee, and they came backstage because, of course, after that solid that they did for me, I had to give them a nice tour backstage. I got to meet the kids and Mike's wife, and it was a wonderful time. Wonderful time.
We had a great time too. So
well, those were fabulous, Rick. Thank you. That was really, all those pictures were totally great.
You're welcome.
So-
I have so many more, but we don't have that much time.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, we thought, Mike and I thought, that we might start off with doing a sort of a series of some rapid fire questions for you, just to give folks a sense of Rick Negron, who, other than what we see in public, maybe we can just get a little glimpse into you. So are you game? We could ask you some questions.
I'm ready, willing, and able.
Okay. Well, as you can see, these are like super hard, as it's not. I'll start with the first question. What did you have to drink last night?
Well, I had a lot of alcohol over the holiday weekend. So last night, I just had sparkling water. I had to give my liver a break.
Cheers. All right.
Cheers.
What was the first thing you did this morning?
I take the dogs out and we play in the backyard. That's every morning. The dogs need to do their business, and I get to throw the ball for them. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Cool. If you were going to teach a subject in school, what would it be?
I'm a big history buff.
I'm not surprised. That's
Yes. I love history, and actually my Hamilton backstage tours are well known for a lot of history that I include in the tours.
Well, beyond history, tell us about one of your hobbies.
Well, I'm in the place where I have one of my favorite hobbies, which is cooking. I love to cook, and so I'm in my kitchen, and my wife has a very specific diet. She's pescatarian and doesn't eat wheat, and I have to make everything gluten free, and it makes, look at me. I'm 73 and I look amazing because of this diet, but she keeps me healthy, and I keep her well fed, and that's one of my big passions in life is cooking.
That is so great. Guess what? This is my next question. It was written down already, and it is, what's something that you're really good at cooking, and do you like to pair wine with it?
Yes. Last night I roast sweet potatoes, and I put some Berber spice, which is a little bit cinnamony. It's a Moroccan spice, Berber spice. And then I roast the chopped up sweet potatoes with olive oil. So I did that, and I do a wonderful shredded zucchini hash with shallots and thyme and a little bit of wine in there. And nothing goes, a bold red like this baby right here is perfect with that meal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, you're gonna laugh. Yoda. I love Yoda, and I know he's not a superhero, but Yoda's my favorite.
There you go. Well, we love Star Wars, so that's okay.
Okay, good.
Yes, we do. We love Star Wars, and Mike is the president of Star Wars. Mike is the president of the winery, and he especially loves it. So every time there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, we have put a sign up in the front on Bunny Fufu. He carries a sword, So it's great.
Perfect.
A lightsaber, Catherine. A lightsaber.
Oh, lightsaber.
Yes.
No,
Well, you are in Lucasfilm country, that whole area, and we actually, Hamilton was invited. The cast was invited to see the last Star Wars movie down at Lucasfilm in the Presidio in San Francisco. So we were treated to a really nice Lucasfilm event there, and they're lovely people.
How awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, here's your last question. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh. I'm going to sing it for you today.
Oh, okay.
My go-to karaoke song is Our Love Is Here to Stay by George Gershwin.
Okay.
I go old school Sinatra ballad, baby.
Oh, so good. Okay. Well, now I think what we should do is let's talk a little bit about this wine. As you can see, I've been enjoying mine. It's sort of going down in my glass. Mike, talk to us about this wine that we're drinking.
Sure. So Diamond Mountain Cabernet. Diamond Mountain is a sub-appellation or region at the northwestern corner of the Napa Valley. It's on a mountain, the Diamond Mountain. It's at elevation, and it's a little bit warmer. And the way that manifests itself in the wine is it's maybe a little bit less fruitful, more chocolate and carob and coffee aromatically. And then because it's a little bit warmer, the wine has a little bit less acidity. So it's full and soft and voluptuous, and it shows really well early on in its life. It's always a crowd pleaser, and it'll age for a long time, but it's certainly delicious right out of the gate.
It is. I have to say, every year, the sort of the lushness of this wine just is what I love so much and expect so much. But year after year, that's for me such an identifiable quality for the wine. So Rick, what do you think?
It's so funny. I'm not a wine aficionado like Mike, but I immediately, when he started describing it, I smelled, I smelled the chocolate and the carob, and it's deep. It's a very deep wine. I really like it. It feels like it's not huge. It's not like, it doesn't explode in your mouth. It's so sweet and subtle. I don't know what else to say except that I'm going to drink the rest of this bottle for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's just so appealing, and that's absolutely. I mean, wine critics and winemakers use a lot of different adjectives to talk about a wine, but at the end of the day, what really matters is if you love it, And it really is.
It's beautiful, beautiful aroma. Very nice.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? I have wondered too, thinking about this show about wine back in the days of King George. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, wine, what kind of wine do you think they love? Do they love these sort of plush wines? Do you think that's the kind of wine they had? This is for either of you. Mike, you probably know something about this.
Because he was a Hanover king and the Hanovers were from Germany, I'm going to say that they probably had a predilection for German wines. But the fact that they were royalty, and back in those days, royalty, they were all intermarrying in all the different countries, right? The Germans, the British, the French, even the Spanish. I'm sure they all enjoyed wines from all the different countries. So I wouldn't doubt that they'd have something incredibly delicious like this, especially in the winter, when a wine like this can just warm your bones up nicely.
Yeah.
I'm sure George.
And one of your co-characters in the show, Thomas Jefferson, you may recall, was in Paris as the U.S. ambassador to Paris at the time, or the colonies, and he came up with an infatuation with wine and ended up bringing a lot of wine back from Bordeaux and from the great Bordeaux houses at the time. And there's a great story a few years ago about people who claimed they had Thomas Jefferson's wines that they had discovered that he had brought back from France at the time. And there's a big debate about whether they were real or not. But anyway, certainly wine was a big part of the time. So
I wonder if there's any vines in Monticello.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, Catherine.
A lot of the old wines that you read about, the very, very old wines that survive and are tested, tend to be the sweet wines, like Madeiras. Often, you hear about. I've never had a chance to try one. But.
Yeah, I have early 1800s Madeiras, and it was a very memorable experience. I think the one I had may have been a bit past its time, but it was a fun opportunity to get a chance to try it.
Okay.
Was it sweet?
It was, yes, a little bit sweet, yes, and very old.
Yeah. But interesting, it still kept its sweetness. It wasn't like vinegar or.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mm.
Time now to go on to a little game that I have for you guys to play. And you're going to be playing against each other. So, Rick, obviously, musicals are a big part of your life. You have other aspects to your career, but still, you sing, you dance, you're in musicals, and we know you love them. Mike also loves them. He was talking about that earlier in our program. And so now I just get a little chance, and all of us do, just to sort of put you all to the test. So here's what I'm going to do. We are going to show you each. We have 5 playbills. We're going to put that up on the screen. And the first one of you who starts singing a song from that musical is going to be the one that gets the point. Mike, you will notice that I'm not saying the one who sings it best. It's just the one who sings it. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes. All right. So here's number 1.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata.
Okay,
Means
what-
no
is that
worries.
Is that the same song?
Yes, Hakuna Matata means no worries. Mike got it. Mike got it.
Wow.
I didn't sing well, but I got it.
Okay. Next playbill.
Phantom of the Opera is here.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
We have a
Definitely.
tie. Next.
Come on, Mike.
Doe, a deer, a female deer,
Here,
Ray, a drop of golden sun.
Yes. Very good. The Sound of Music, one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, mine too. I totally love. Okay, go.
Ready? Beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you. Beauty school dropout. Miss your midterms and flunk shampoo.
Wow.
That's the first Broadway show I ever saw when I was a teenager in New York.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's great.
And this
So
and
have
this
you
little
ever
known actor
performed
named
it?
John Travolta was in it at the time.
Have you ever performed in Greece?
Greece missed me and I missed Greece for some reason. And I would have been a perfect Kaniki or a perfect Danny Zuko, but never happened.
Okay.
Too old now.
Okay, guys, this is the tiebreaker. We're 2-2. So are we ready?
Come on, Mike.
No, this is, I already sang this one.
All right.
Okay.
They say the price of my war's not a price that they're willing to pay. Insane.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, that was a gimme. That one was a gimme.
Well, guess what? You still have to sing for your not supper, but a little more wine.
You know, now that I'm well lubricated,
Yes, that's
absolutely.
the plan. So,
All right.
Rick, you had said you might be willing to sing us a song.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Okay, here we go. I think everybody knows this one. You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. You say your love is draining and you can't go. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. And now don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. My sweet, submissive subject. My royal subject. Forever and ever. And ever and ever and ever, you'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war for your love, for your praise. And I'll love you till my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad. So don't throw away this thing we had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. Everybody. Da 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 da
La 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 la.
da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da.
Oh,
Yay!
bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's not the same without the regalia and the lights and the orchestra, but wait a second, what's going on here, Mike?
Yeah.
Touche,
Actually, he wears
my
that all the
friend.
time.
The king of hall wines. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna-
not quite the costume you have, but it'll do.
Tell
I know
you
what you're going to be for Halloween, Mike.
That is so awesome. Rick, I would have loved to have just seen the faces of all the people that were watching us, because I'll bet you 95% was like jumping all around, mouthing the words to your song. That just,
And hopefully they sang along to the da 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 da's, which we all know.
which we all know. So good. And I guess maybe it comes with the territory of being an actor, a performer, but to be able to do that with the focus, and you're sitting in your kitchen, I mean, that's just amazing.
Well, thank you. After doing it for a year and a half, 8 times a week, it kind of gets ingrained in your bones, and you can kind of do it almost any time. But it's a difficult song to sing, so I definitely have to warm up before I try to sing it, because it does have some high notes. And but to hook into that character and to hook into that moment in the show is pretty easy for me now after all that, and I do still have a lot of fun with it.
Well, I hope so, because it gives all of us just so much joy. I just
Thank you.
made our days.
Yay.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
King Mike, I'm thinking maybe you might. We have one more wine to taste.
We do it.
And maybe you'll taste it with this. I'm going to pass this to our. Oh, you want to pass it to our guest?
No, you've got it.
Okay, I have it. Let me see. Let me get it. So it's looking okay. So
Okay.
this is our Howell Mountain. Here we go. And I am going to pass this over to you, Rick. Can you get it?
Okay. I think I got it.
You
There
did
it
get
is.
it. Okay.
Look
There
at
you
that
go.
beautiful label.
That's our
Oh my
Howell
gosh.
Mountain. And
That's beautiful. All right.
yeah,
We have a fresh glass for the Howell Mountain.
yeah.
It's been open for a bit, so I'm sure it's open.
Well, that's what you want.
Oh gosh, that smells nice.
So King Reynolds, what do you say?
All right, so Howell Mountain, also from 2017. This wine actually comes from the northeastern side of the Napa Valley. And these vineyards are at more elevation. So the days are a little bit cooler, the nights are a little bit warmer. And there are a lot of things that are similar about these two wines. I think this wine has a little bit more fruit, but lots of coffee and chocolate again. But the big difference is in the structure of the wine in the mouth. And, this wine has a lot of really good tannin and strength and density. And it's just a really rich, powerful, concentrated wine that's going to age beautifully for long periods of time. But I love its concentration and power right now. It's delicious.
Totally.
Oh,
That dark berry is just big,
it
big.
it's bigger than the other wine for sure. Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
Ooh.
I wish you had a picture. I guess we didn't bring a picture of this vineyard, but it's just such high elevation. It's really a unique place in the valley there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the Howell Mountain wines, when they're well made, will age for 20 and 30 years. And I've had many of them that are just spectacular 20 plus years old. So I think this one has that kind of pedigree and will definitely, it's good now, but it'll continue to improve with time.
Amazing.
Big wine.
Ooh.
And again, I mentioned this at the start of our show, but this is only available to our wine club members. So we hope we can entice you to join our wine club and come on. And we're having a good time here.
Join
So,
us.
So now, Rick,
Yes.
you when you did that song for us a little while ago, and I was thinking maybe we could ask you to do one more. I don't know if a encore might be in the works with a little more wine and maybe take another sip
Oh,
or two.
let's see what we have in the old bag of tricks here. Let's see. Oh yeah. It's very clear our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies, and in time may go. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time, the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay, but our love is here to stay. And if you have somebody close by, go ahead and grab them and dance a little bit with them. Get close. And remember, during these times, love is what's going to get us through. In time, the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay and passing fancies. And in time may go, oh yeah, but oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. The Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay, but our love is here too. Our love is here too. Our love is here to stay. Yay! I hope you enjoyed that.
I mean, oh, that was so fabulous.
Thank you.
Mike, would you like to do an encore?
No, you don't want me to do an encore.
Come on, do a deer, a female deer.
Yeah. So we did have, Rick, we've been getting questions throughout the program for you, and I just feel we are already gone over time, but it's just been so fabulous. Thank you for being so gracious with us.
We have wine. Time doesn't matter.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. By the way, I would like to say you were just, I felt that song is so perfect for now. Just want to say, I loved it.
Thank you.
Okay. Question number 1. What is your favorite musical?
Well, in my youth, I did West Side Story quite often, seeing that I am of Puerto Rican heritage. Well, I'm half and half. My mom's Irish, my dad's Puerto Rican. I don't know whether I'm going north or south, but I did get to play both a jet and a shark in West Side Story, and West Side Story was my favorite musical for many, many years until Hamilton came around. And now Hamilton has taken its place as my favorite musical.
Wonderful.
Hey, there's more questions.
Yeah, one more. Mike, we have one more. You get to ask it.
So if you could play one other part in Hamilton, which would it be?
Well, funny you should ask. When I originally auditioned for Hamilton, they asked me to prepare the material for King George, and they also asked me to prepare the material for George Washington. They're the two roles in the show that are usually cast a little bit older. All the other leads in the show are very young because during the Revolution, Hamilton and Lafayette and all those guys were in late teens, early 20s, which is an amazing thing. George Washington was the elder statesman, and I think Jefferson was a little bit older, but even King George was in his mid to late 30s at the time. But I would love to play George Washington. Matter of fact, I had to learn one of his raps, and to this day, I haunt every George Washington that plays the role in my company, because I come up right behind him and I go, "Check it. Can I be real a second? For just a millisecond, let down my guard and tell the people how I feel a second. Now I'm the model of the modern Major General, the venerated Virginian veteran whose men are all lining up." And I could go on, and I do. And it just drives every George Washington I work with crazy, but that's the shenanigans that goes on backstage.
Yes. Poor Isaiah.
Oh, he loved it.
So good. Rick, it has just been such a pleasure, a delight. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us and your beautiful talents. And and your joy, just your joy with life. It's just been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I share it with my Hall Wine family, who has only shown me joy and beauty and sweetness in life. And it's great. It's great. Thank you, Mike and Catherine, for
Cheers.
inviting me. And cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Here's to our next adventure.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Hopefully in person.
Yeah. Hopefully a person.
Indeed.
We hope to see you up here again soon, Rick.
God willing. God willing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. Bye-bye. Was that great?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. And you are such a great sport. I never could have sung those songs. And I am very impressed that you knew all those tunes, I have to say.
You can thank my mother.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Reynolds. Actually, I know your mother. I could say thank you to.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Mike, I think we've run out of time. Anything that we should say before we take off?
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you had fun, and we hope to see you here in Napa soon. Cheers.
Stay healthy and sip up.
Cheers.